Three. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone's doing great today. I'm here with Zaina Battah. Sorry, I mispronounced that.
No, you actually said it right the first time.
Sweet, I thought I did. Zaina Battah from Keller Williams at the Parks here in Orlando, Florida. I'm William Chase from New American Funding, as many of you already know. Today we're going to talk about some wonderful things about investment properties, how to really prepare yourself, the ins and outs of investing into a second home, an investment property of short or long term, and see what good can come from it. Okay, so Zaina is a bit of a specialist with short-term rentals as well as some long-term rentals as well, so that's what she's really starting to go at. Now, with any questions that you might have arise, folks, please add them to the comments, because that way we can answer and get to you as well. So first, Zaina, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
So, hello, my name is Zaina Battah, and I'm actually a realtor with Keller Williams. I actually purchased the property in Davenport, about 15-20 minutes to Disney, a few years back. And it was kind of something I just jumped into because of my love for travel and my love for short-term rentals. I actually stay in Airbnbs myself when I travel. So I kind of jumped in head on, not knowing too much about it. And I ended up earning Superhost in the 4 times in a row in the first year. I got my income to basically over $30,000 the first year, as well as earned 52 5-star reviews. So I have taken it up on myself to specialize in this industry because I like it. I know how to optimize the rentals, and I love representing vacation homes in Florida. So I work with all kinds of buyers and sellers, but mainly I do represent my own resort and work with a lot of sellers there that have vacation rentals themselves. So I thought I'd come out here, give you a little bit of some tips, answer any questions you may have, and me and Will get tag teaming on this to give you all the information you need, useful information to get you started.
Fantastic. So as Anna had said, I am a mortgage lender. So I help with financing investment properties, any personal property refinances, all that other stuff. That's my shameless plug for the day. I'm not going to talk too much about that, with the exception of questions that are going to happen with financing. Okay. So you said something about optimizing a short-term rental for top dollar. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So basically, you want to be able to stand out specifically in this market. I mean, I know short-term rentals are not what they used to be currently, but they're getting back there with Disney opening and everything opening up. So you have to know how to stand out in general, because a lot of people are starting to list on platforms like Airbnb and VRBO. So just a few tips to stand out, optimize your listing, make it easy on the eyes, and get people to book more reservations.
How do you optimize it?
So I have a quick 5 tips because, I wish I had time to give you like 20, but we're going to go with 5 that I think are very important to get you started in the optimization process. So the first thing that I would recommend is staging. I mean, just like with real estate sales, staging goes a long way for your Airbnb rental because they want to see a nice place. A little decor and art makes it unique and makes it stand out. You can always do it yourself or hire a professional staging company to put it all together for you. That's what I usually recommend to my clients, and I actually work with a staging company that will work with your budget, and they are great at what they do. So definitely stage your unit, make it unique, make it stand out. The second tip I have for you is professional photos are a must. With real estate, they are a must, but at least with real estate, you get the showing, so the home has a chance to sell itself. With the Airbnb,
with a cell phone, right? Use a cell phone for professional photography.
Just leave it to the expert. Have them make your unit stand out in the photos, because that's really the first vision that your unit. And that's what's going to get you the reservations. It's very important because people don't get to see the Airbnbs that they stay in. They just get to look at photos. So after you do some staging, definitely hire a professional photographer. And you want to include at least 15 photos. If you have amenities, include those as well. And then I also recommend including a photo of your best review. because that really stands out as well, and people get to read that and get to know a little bit from the customer standpoint about your unit. My third, and feel free to ask any questions, Will, throughout the process.
It's all right. It's all right.
Because they're probably going to think of them as you're going to think of the same questions someone else might have. So
now, with COVID-19 being such a big deal here in Central Florida, well, Florida in general and worldwide, but Central Florida in general right now is a hotbed. What protocols are being done with Airbnb and other short-term rentals to ensure the renter's safety?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm glad you brought that up because I actually forgot to include that bit in there. There have been enhanced cleaning routines all throughout Airbnb that you have to opt in with your listing for it to be called out. Basically, all the cleaners are taking Airbnb sanitation courses and are getting kind of like it's a quick certification to know what to do. There are updated cleaning checklists that you can use on your Airbnb, and it's all in the platform. I'm sure other platforms have the same thing going. And basically just that extra step of sanitizing doorknobs and frequently touched surfaces and things like that. We are also leaving space between reservations. Recommended is 3 days between each reservation. Some hosts are doing 24 hours, but at least 24 hours. I do 3 days between mine. Now, I know that's taken away a little bit from the reservations, but you're keeping everyone safe, and your listing does get called out that it is sanitized and clean to ensure.
I'm picturing like a Lysol bomb going off. You know, when people leave, of somebody just, you know, like the bug bombs, but a Lysol, where they're just like, and they throw it in there, it's just spray of Lysol everywhere.
I mean, that would be.
That's in my head. Maybe I'm crazy.
No, you should actually
that's
get something like that going. I'm sure it'll fly off the shelves.
Oh, the entrepreneur in us, we're thinking already. We're thinking. Anyone who does that, we thought of this first. All right, folks, just remember that. So I might have to come after you. Don't steal our idea. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So my third tip for you is basically in the description of your Airbnb listing, VRBO, I mean, whichever platform you use, they're all very similar. I personally like Airbnb the best. You need to space out your description. You need to make it easy to read. Bullet point any amenities for your unit or listing. No one wants to read like a huge paragraph. It kind of gets lost in translation. So you want to definitely make everything easy and eye-friendly. Number 4, and I'm trying to move quick so I don't take too much time. Reviews. Obviously, reviews are a big deal for any business, and reviews are a huge deal for the Airbnb algorithm and for your listing to just come up in more searches. In order to get reviews, all you have to do is one simple thing: ask for 5-star reviews. That's really all it takes. So when you know your client has had a great stay, just ask them any kind of negative feedback to be submitted privately and tell your customer you're always trying to improve and take that feedback and kind of grow your business. But you would really appreciate if they would leave you a 5-star review, because that helps other customers kind of know that you've had a great experience if everything's as expected. And that really goes a long way with reviews. And the more reviews you build up, the more your listing's going to show up on Airbnb, the more you're going to get reservations. So that definitely helps. And then,
for sure.
Yes. Sorry, Will, do you have a question?
No. I'm just agreeing with you.
And that goes for any business, really. Ask your customer, are they happy? Is there something you can do better? If they are happy, would they mind taking a few minutes to just leave you some blurbs or some feedbacks? It really helps you grow your business in any business, not just the Airbnb. And then my last tip is there's a little heart or a way to favorite your listing on these platforms. I know Airbnb has a heart that you click. So ask your customers to click that heart and add the listing to their favorites. Do it yourself as well for your own listing. Ask some family and friends to do that, because that will really help in the Airbnb algorithm as well. It's kind of like a hidden tip where it will bring your listing up in more searches and get you more bookings.
So anything on the internet pretty much nowadays, the more engagement you have, the better you're going to be. And it seems to be the sound of that with Airbnb and Vrbo and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Is the better engagement, the better you're going to get, and the more customers you get because you have better engagement. And it's a constant cycle. And ask any teenager about being an influencer, and that pretty much will tell you exactly what you need to do to have a successful Airbnb too, I guess.
Yes,
right?
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit about financing. Okay. Since this is my wheelhouse, I'm going to talk about it quickly, but you have different options when you look at any kind of rental, whether it be short-term, long-term, or even a second home that you're there half the year and the other half you want to rent it out. As long as you're there less than 49% of the year, it's considered a second home. And you have to be staying there, though, at least a little bit for it to be a second home. Because if you're not staying at it whatsoever, it's not a second home, it's an investment property, which changes a lot of the ways that mortgage financing can be. And if you try to actually say that it's a second home and you never have any plans of staying there, you're committing mortgage fraud, which is a felony. So make sure that you're following the right protocols where you're not going to get arrested and you're not going to lose your house and all that other stuff. To your investment property, I should say. But it's still, a second home is still technically an investment property. You're investing in a property to eventually sell or move into so you can sell your primary or whatever it may be, still that. So you just want to make sure you're honest with that, okay? Investment properties do tend to have a little bit of a higher interest rate versus a second property because investment properties have a higher risk. If you lose your job tomorrow, you're not going to lose your shelter in your primary residence. But if your investment property defaults, yeah, it'll kill your credit, but you're still going to have a roof over your head. So that's why it's considered a higher risk loan, and that's why people get a little wonky about that. Now, down payments are not as bad as people think they are for investment and second properties. People think, for an investment property, you need 20% down, 50% down. I've heard so many different stories, but when you look at an investment property, a second home, you need 10% down. That's it. And plus closing costs and all that other stuff, but 10% down payment, that's it. Now, investment properties, as little as 15% down. Now, if you go with that 15% down for an investment property, let's say you already own your home anywhere in the country. Could be in New York, could be California, and you want to invest in Florida because Florida is a great investment. People come here to vacation consistently. I live where people vacation. That's a lovely thing. That's a great thing to say, right, Zaina? But when you look at an investment property, yeah, all right. So when you look at an investment property and you need that down payment, you can look into having a refinance on your primary residence to pull out some cash. It's not a bad idea, especially the way COVID is right now, and who knows what's going to happen with people's jobs over the next year. Refinance your primary residence, whether it be in Florida, whether it be somewhere else in the country. I can find a way to help you with that. I'm only licensed in Florida, but there's 48 other states that our company actually works with. So we can find a way to get you some money out so you can finance your investment property as well. So looking at that, if you have percentage down, and let's say at Regal Palms, you said you were talking about earlier, yeah, they'll start at about $150,000. So you need about 30 grand at 20%. But if you're at 15%, you need what? About 20 grand ish, somewhere around there for 15% down for your investment property. If you buy it as a second, you only need 15 grand. That's a little more approachable with people who are saving for that investment property or second home. So look at it from that point of view and see where everything works with that. All right. And what works for you is going to be your best option. The best thing I can say, though, is talk with your loan officer and make sure that you are going about this the right way. Because we as loan officers do know what you can and can't do legally when it comes to investing in property and financing your investment property. But you do want to leverage your debt to be able to gain. Go ahead.
Also, Will, I just wanted to ask a question. So, and I know you're familiar with this. So basically, I just want you to tell them, so townhouses versus condos versus single family residence. They have different guidelines financing wise, right? Some are easier than others when it comes to investment properties.
Townhouses and single standing homes are typically considered to be the same thing. They're either attached or detached. Okay. Condos are a completely different animal. And condos, if they are what's called warrantable condos, you may be able to get away with a 15% down payment, but usually 20 is your safer bet. Condos are very, very volatile. And the reason why condos are volatile when you go to buy that investment property as a condo is because the HOA fees, the condo association fees, they can be killer. And if you have X amount of residences that are in there, or investors or whoever owns the property in there, you have a volatile space of what those condo fees are going to go up or down. If certain people aren't paying them, those fees still got to get paid, which isn't really fair to the people who are paying their bills. But associations don't care. They still have to pay the bill and keep the budget. So as long as the bill gets paid, they don't care who pays it. Yes, they might go after those properties that have back condo fees that they gotta pay, but to a point, let's say they go under litigation, somebody sues them, who do you think's going to pay for those fees? Is it going to be the leader of the condo association? No, it's going to be the entire association of all the residences.
So what about when the townhouses have an association fee? Is it a little bit different with the townhouses?
You just have to count that into the debt to income ratio.
Okay.
And if it's just a standard townhouse, townhouses tend to have a higher HOA because they cover more stuff. If you have a leak in your roof, they fix that leak. They fix that roof because the outer shell is usually part of
that's true.
What needs to be taken care
of. Yeah, that makes sense.
And single family homes, you're on the hook for everything.
Yeah.
If you have a single family freestanding detached home, your roof goes, it's not the HOA taking care of it, it's you taking care of it. And or anything with the walls, structure damage, whatever, anything in and out of the four walls of a detached home, you have to take care of. Attached homes, you just got to worry about the inside typically. It's also why insurance tends to be cheaper as well on the attached townhouses and things like that, and condos, because you only have to worry about putting in a claim for only a select amount of things. All right, so tell me a little bit more about licensing with a short-term rental. You said something about that before when we were talking offline, but I don't really know anything about that.
I don't want to go into too much detail because I would encourage you to definitely speak to your accountant. But I can tell you, normally, you need a license through the county and a license through the state to be able to operate that as a short-term rental. The license through the county is usually a tax license, and every county is different, so make sure to verify the requirements of your county, of course. But I know in Polk County, where I have my rental in the Regal Palms, we have a tax license that is needed in the county, and then, of course, a Florida state license to operate that short-term rental. So once you have those, then you're good to go. Airbnb and some platforms remit those. There's some taxes that you have to pay, but Airbnb and certain platforms will remit that for you. Property management company can do that for you as well, can set you up with those licenses and guide you basically in the right direction. And of course, an accountant is the first person to go confirm all this.
You don't want to be owing Uncle Sam anything because they'll come after you.
They change constantly, and the accountants are the only ones created with that information.
Now, LLC options. Now, a lot of folks, I hear this a lot from the financing side too, and I can talk about that, but I'll let you go into the LLC options too. If you're going for a shorter long-term rental, you want to limit your liability. If you get sued, it's only going to sue the company. They're not going to sue you individually, or they can't. I believe. Don't quote me because I could be wrong. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know enough about LLCs. But I know for a fact when it comes to financing a home, it has to be in your name if you want it to be in what's called an agency loan, which is Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. If you're doing that, it needs to be in your name, and your vesting has to be in your name. But after you close, a couple weeks later, you can always do a title change. You have to talk with the title company and make sure it's all legit, of course, but do a title change to an LLC to be a limited liability company on that property. So that way, if something does happen, you get sued, you're not going to lose all of your livelihood. You're just going to you could potentially lose the property, but I'd still rather have my own home, hashtag working from home right now, over my head and not lose everything, just lose that little bit, and it's push comes to shove, especially in a world we live in where everybody wants to sue each other. I want to cover myself as much as possible. So just that's my thought, at least.
Well, I think you've shared everything about that I know myself. I don't know too much about LLCs, so I don't want to give any information. But of course, with what Will said, and take that to your accountant. If you are thinking of starting an LLC, that would be the best way to get it started. I think property management companies may know a few things about that as well.
Yeah, and I'm no expert on it. I just know from what I've been told. So anything I'm telling you, again, don't take as the word of God, because it's not the truth, or it could be the truth, could not be. I don't know, but it's just from what I've observed in my time in my career here in this business. So I know for financing with an LLC, it gets very tricky, and it is doable, it is possible, but then your down payments have to increase, and it's typically a more expensive loan as well. So if you do want to go straight up LLC from the get-go, it's going to cost you a lot more money. And you can do it if you have 35% to put down, or no, 25% to put down. That changes by the day too. So if you are considering that, call me. Okay, so that way I can give it the right guy.
I think Will can make anything happen.
I try.
Not a.
There's a reason why I have such long flowing locks. I haven't lost all my hair. No, not at all.
That's why I'm working with him. I just want to put that out there. He's great. He keeps you updated, and he really goes that extra mile to get you approved, of course, the right way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Zaina. I appreciate that. Now, last thing before we let everyone go here is I want to talk a little bit about property management options. I know you're not a property manager, correct?
I kind of am. I do my own property management for my unit, but that's it.
Which is what you can do, and some people just don't want that hassle. Yeah, and exactly. Honestly, I'm turning my own personal property that I live right now eventually into a rental property, and I'm hiring a property management company. I do not have the time to deal with it. And I'd rather pay somebody a couple $100 a month to maintain the home and let me know when something's wrong with it for my renter, and that'd be it. So there's different options out there. There's short-term and long-term, of course. And using the platforms like Airbnb and VRBO, I'm just going to say Vrbo just because it's easier for me. But VRBO, they're all the same thing. They're all typically the same thing. They're just different names and different companies.
Yes.
It's like saying Uber versus Lyft. They're the same. They do the same thing.
They work a little different, but yes, they're very, very similar and definitely accomplish things. It's all a matter of what you're comfortable using. Some people are more comfortable using VRBO. I personally liked Airbnb more so. I've used both, but I decided to go full time on Airbnb, really. So it all depends.
Yeah, the concept's pretty much the same no matter what you do. It's just, there might be a policy difference or a cost change or something, but it's, they're 6 one way, half dozen the other with that stuff. You can do that, but you can hire a property manager too, right?
Yes. So property management options, there are a few things that you can do, and of course, shop around for the right property management for your needs. Will and I also can recommend some property management companies. So if you need that information, definitely reach out to us. But basically, for short-term rental or even a long-term rental, you can either hire a full-service property management that will manage reservations, maintenance, cleaning, licensing, basically everything you need. And then you would just not have to worry about it. You just get paid. And those property managements will usually charge like a percentage on the reservations, or they'll charge a monthly fee plus a small percentage. It all depends. Or you can hire a property management that manages cleaning and maintenance only, and kind of pay them that monthly fee or whatever they charge you, and then you do your reservations yourself. A lot of owners like to do that with the short-term industry only because they kind of have more control if they want to be more hands-on. Some owners kind of don't want to deal with it, like Will said. So in that case, you just leave it to the professionals, let them do the thing for you and maximize your profits. But if you are like me and like to be more hands-on, Then you can hire property management for cleaning and maintenance. The third option, of course, is you can do it all yourself if you have the time and patience. And the way you would do that is you would get a home warranty for the maintenance. That makes that part easy. And then you can hire a cleaner. There's actually an app that goes along with Airbnb and feeds. They talk to each other. It's called Turnover B&B. And you can find a cleaner, read reviews about the cleaner, and kind of they would see the Airbnb calendar and they would get paid all through the app. It's very simple, does it for you. That's how I do my cleaning. And I found an amazing cleaner that I work with. And then the third part is reservations. You would need, I recommend a third-party pricing app because Airbnb and VRBO have a built-in one, but it's all that does is kind of put heads in beds, if you want to call it. So you do need a pricing app that will price for you based on local events and demand and things like that, because that's really how you can maximize your bookings. The one I recommend is Price. It's only $20 a month. You sign up and then you get minimum and maximum, and it takes care of all of that for you. And you can, of course, be more hands-on or just kind of set it and forget it. I mean, however you want to do it. So those are the three things.
Interesting.
Property
I
management.
did not know that existed.
Well, see, there you go. That's why I'm here.
I did not know. Yeah, I even learned some new things today. You know, it's
I'm glad.
because I've always been dabbling on should I get an Airbnb or not, because I can't with my current home that I'm turning into it. I have to go to a long term because it's city ordinance. My city that I live in, which is Belle Isle, Florida, which is the middle of Orlando, but it's a long story. They don't allow Airbnbs or VRBO or any kind of short-term rental. Everything has to be 7 months plus by the area I live in and the city I live in. And I know a lot of Orlando kind of falls in that category as well.
That's another
especially the main residential area that's non-tourist.
It's certain counties in Orlando that will allow Airbnb, and then like in Orange County, there's very few areas or even communities that allow Airbnb. Most of them don't. But you have Osceola and Polk County are more Airbnb friendly. But of course, if you have a single family residence, then you can do whatever the hell you want most of the time. So.
And and the same thing too. If you end up going to the coast, those are all going to be short-term rentals for the most part too.
Of course, and it all depends on the location too. But I do want to touch. I know this is during COVID and everything else. Things are a little more risky and unpredictable in the short-term industry, and that is true to a certain extent. But I will tell you one thing, that if you are looking for a good buy on a property, this is the time to do it. A lot of sellers are accepting a little bit lower offers only because you know the situation, and it all depends where you go and what kind of property, and of course everything is individually based. But you are able to get good deals right now, a little bit better than a few months ago, definitely.
Especially on these.
Yes, and at the same time, second homes are extremely popular right now because everyone wants another place to kind of escape to if they need to, maybe a bigger place, more spacious, I don't know. But if you're moving from these cities that tend to be a little more crammed, Florida's a great place to have a second home. It's you have like more spacious properties, and they're affordable. In most places are affordable. So those are just the two things to consider. The last thing is, you know, if you do Airbnb, it doesn't always have to be for tourists. There's also business people that need an Airbnb for a few days. There's local people that come for, you know, a couple-hour drive to just change the scenery. So there's different kinds of customers, not necessarily just tourists traveling to Disney and Universal and what have you. So that's just something to consider.
And to those northern city dwellers that are renters because it's too expensive to buy, like New York City, Chicago, places like that, where it's just in Boston, where it's ridiculously expensive, you can still buy a second home while renting up there. And a lot of people don't realize that they can do that. You can buy a second home and have rent as your primary residence. There's nothing wrong with that. It's completely acceptable.
And actually, that's one of the most popular places that end up buying second homes. I know in my resort, the Regal Palms Resort. Well, not my resort, but I'm definitely an on-site realtor, and I try to help people out there. And a lot of them are either snowbirds that buy the homes and come spend their summers here in Florida and then go back to New York or Canada or wherever they are from a colder place. And then some of them just have a second home. They live in New York, Canada, Chicago, wherever, and they just have a second home here, and they just come here whenever they need a break or whenever it's too cold there, or they decide to move here eventually. So it's definitely, if you can afford it, it's a great thing to have a second home. You know, you have two options. Who doesn't like options?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, in comparison to something like New York City, Boston, Chicago, LA, anywhere in California now, coming to Florida is cheap.
Oh,
It's very cheap.
definitely. I know a little about that because I'm from California myself, and that is the reason I decided to come to Florida, because it's more spacious, hard living, cheaper, living expenses, and California is beautiful to visit, but it's expensive.
It is expensive though.
Not
I'm a New Yorker born and I'm a New Yorker born and raised, even though I didn't grow up in the city, but I still have been to the city many, many times in my life. And I know how expensive it really is. I even have family trying to buy a home up there and they can't find anything. And it's ridiculous how expensive they are, and they still can't find anything.
Yeah, California.
So
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and coming to Florida, where the taxes are lower, you don't have an income tax if it is your primary residence as well, and you live here and work here, or you're able to work remotely, because I know this is starting to happen for a lot of people too, especially these big tech firms that are out in California that, like the Google and Facebooks and things like that are out there. They have the ability starting to have the ability to still get that Northern California, Silicon Valley paycheck, but also work and live remotely. And coming to Florida, there's no better place to be able to do that, because you're close to the beach and it's always nice here. Like right now, it feels like I'm living in a sauna. But
the weather is like very peculiar, but it's nice. I love Florida. Like I couldn't imagine living somewhere else.
Don't get me wrong. I've been here for 16 years. I have no qualms on no desire to ever move back anywhere else where it's cold. Yes. I took that leap of faith when I graduated college and never really turned back except for to go home to visit families. Well, I think that about wraps it up, and I just want to thank you for joining me today, Zaina, and everyone else that came and watched, and anyone future coming to watch too. Thank you so much for joining us and getting some education on what investment properties and your options are here in the state of Florida. So have a great day. I don't really have much else to say.
Well, thank you, Will, for
Let's just do a quick plug for ourselves.
And I think we should definitely start a radio show, you and I think it would go very well.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. So last but not least, to give myself a little last plug, I'm William Chase. I'm with New American Funding, a direct mortgage lender. If there's a way that we can finance it, I can find that way usually. And Zaina is just a great real estate agent that I've been working with for a few months now, and just has been dynamite, hitting the ground running since she started. So my number, if you need me, is 407-506-5650, william.chase@nafinc.com, as well as follow me on Instagram, William the Mortgage Guy, or William Chase New American Funding on Facebook. And I'm on every other platform too, but I don't have time for that. So Zaina, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, you can find me on Facebook as well. My phone number is 818 area code 281-1432. I know it's a California number, but I am a Floridian now. And my email is Zaina, like my first name, @kw.com. You can also search me on Facebook. If you put Zaina Battah Realtor, I will come up. I don't think there's anyone else with that name within proximity, within like close proximity. And that's it. So let us know your questions, comments, concerns, any guidance you need. We're here to help. We love going that extra mile for our customers and educating them. And thank you, Will, so much for putting this together and having me here.
Of course. And last but not least, if you liked what you saw today, folks, please share this to whoever you can. If we get more than 5 shares on here, I will make sure that somebody gets, or we're going to have a drawing for a $25 gift card to Amazon to whoever shares this, whoever is in that pot of sharers. So if there's more than 5, if I get 1 or 2, I'm sorry, better luck next time. But if we have more than 5, we'll go into that drawing, and you'll just get some free money for watching what we're doing. All right. So have a great day. We're signing off, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.